put it on. Put the voice on. Put it on.
I'd like to call to order the town council meeting of April 5th, 2021 to order with a moment of silence and a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the United States
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
with liberty
and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
All right, to get things started off here, do I have a motion to sit as a licensing board?
Scott Bill Hurst, so moved.
Do I have a
Sharon
second?
Davis, second.
Thank you, Sharon. All in favor?
Hurst, aye.
Davis, aye.
Moffat, aye. Motion passes. So up tonight, we have a BV liquor license application. Number one, open a remote hearing on an application for a Class BV liquor license filed by Little Rhodey Lobster LLC, Anthony Restivo, 40 Pequot Road, North Kingstown, Rhode Island, 02852. And Kevin Sullivan, 35 Harrison Avenue, Newport, Rhode Island, 02860 for property located at 15A Frontier Road, Ashway RI, 02804, owned by BCP LLC, 140 High Street, Westerly, Rhode Island, 02891. The applicant or representative present? If you are, please raise your hand. Okay, I see a hand raised. You are unmuted. *6 to unmute yourself. And please state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Christian Infantolino. I'm with Morneau and Murphy in Jamestown, representing the applicants this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And I also do have Mr. Anthony Restivo here with me in the office in the event that there are any questions. Are you prepared for me to jump right in, or was there something else to start? I just didn't want to jump.
Well, I'm going to go through here. I'm going to ask the clerk if all the fees and notices have been posted, and then
Sure.
we can get into a discussion.
Surely.
Thank you. Lisa, are all fees and pays and notices posted?
The notices have been posted, abutter notices went out, it was advertised in the paper, and I have billed out for the fees.
Okay. So I have one question here. I saw in our packets here that there was possibly outstanding taxes on the property. Is that?
I believe that the tax collector on Thursday provided me with updated taxes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so at this point, Christian, I think your name is, I forgot your last name. You're the attorney for Mr. Restivo. Did you want to make any statements or anything?
Sure. You know, I was just going to say just a couple things and then kind of open it up to whatever questions the council might have. You know, first, I did want to say thank you very much for hearing this application. I do know that my clients are really, really excited to propose this venture and possibly open up a whole bunch of, you know, jobs up in the area. They're looking to employ close to 40 to 60 people if everything moves along according to plan. Both applicants, both Anthony and Kevin combined, are they have extensive restaurant and food industry experience and business. They've both been owners and operators of restaurants over the past 20 years. And so this sort of fits right in the wheelhouse of what they're looking to do. You know, currently right now, they do have a lease in place scheduled to start May 1st, subject obviously to any of the approvals that we're hoping to get this evening for the property located at that 15A Frontier Road. This lease does have an option to purchase, and if all goes right according to plan in their world, they would love to actually buy the property within the next year. They are aware of an easement on the property for the water. I did send in a copy of that easement today to the clerk, and hopefully it was able to get out to you guys in your package. Based on my review of the easement, there is going to be water to the property, and the water can't go away. Well, unless the well dries up, but they would always have access to the water off of that property, unless the burdened property decides to stop that, at which time there'd be a requirement to provide the subject property with a suitable source of water. So if a water line ever came down, or if they were ever able to put a well on the actual subject property, that to me was when that easement would go away. With regards to the restaurant, my client does intend on kind of opening up a New England style fish and chips, clam chowder restaurant with occasional live entertainment. And then on the adjacent property, operate the driving range. They intend on having, the closing of operations no later than 10 a.m., clam cakes and chowder, and only a small amount of income. They were estimating probably less than 20% coming from the sale of alcohol and services. They are aware that, there's a couple outstanding items regarding like the health certificates, kind of the chicken and the egg thing. But as soon as, we get these approvals, we'll be able to take the next steps to be able to submit the final missing pieces of the application. That is what I had. I really do appreciate you guys letting me speak. And I'm here with Anthony to answer any questions that you might have moving forward.
Councilman Hurst, I just have one question. I think there seems to be an interest in the community for this project, and I think a lot of people were anxious when it was going to open, and we never were contacted. And I know you have your own table when you apply for these licenses. The only question I have is any of the owners of the property involved or going to be involved in the operation of this venture? Because I think that's an important question, just to put that out there. Thank you.
Absolutely not. The only involvement that the owner has is he owns the property, and he's got a lease with my clients, Little Roadie LLC. He will have zero involvement in any of the business operational aspect. The only thing he gets is a rent check, and hopefully that doesn't last too long. And my clients are able to purchase the property itself.
Is a follow-up question, Councilor Hurst. Does your client have any idea of a timeline when they would be able to purchase the property?
Mr. Hurst, Christian Fantolino, the goal is within a year. That's that's obviously the goal. Obviously, things come and they go. I don't know. If things work out better, great. I wish I had a crystal ball and could say yes, they'd love to. They can do it in a month. But they are trying to to purchase the property. And like I said, if everything works out in their favor, it would be within the next year.
Yeah, Councilor Hurst, thanks for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? If not, at the moment, okay. Go ahead, Sharon.
I still want to understand what Little Roadie thinks is the definition of this easement, and what does it mean to them for the water?
So based upon my review of the easement, the well is on an adjacent property, on a property that wasn't owned by the owner or somebody else. As such,
right.
they put an easement a while ago. Let's see, I have it here somewhere. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head, but an easement was put on the property, benefiting the subject property, the property where the restaurant would be, and burdening the property where the well is on. This is a recorded easement, and based upon my interpretation of it, it provides, that the subject property is allowed to have the well there, maintain the well, utilize the well, pull the water off of it. And that was it. If the burdening property says, at any time says, no, we don't want to give you water anymore, they're required, based on the easement, to provide some sort of suitable water source. So it would be a town hookup if a water line came down, drilling a new well. That's the way that I interpret that easement for the well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Do any other counselors have any questions or concerns or comments before I ask if there's anyone who would like to speak for or against this?
Oh, yeah, Bob Marvel here. I just want you to confirm the hours of operation, the planned hours of operation.
What's the earliest?
11 a.m. will open. Well, actually, that's for the restaurant end, but the mini golf and driving range could be 9 a.m.
Okay. So for the mini golf and driving range, they're looking at around 9 a.m. to open. The restaurant would not open until 11 a.m. And then the closing time would be 10 for the restaurant.
And that's, I'm sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
That's 10 p.m., right?
Yeah, 10 p.m. Correct.
7 days a week.
7
Okay.
days a week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Counselor Moffett. Bob just asked one of my questions here. 10 o'clock, that 10 o'clock seems reasonable to me. I was a little more concerned about having the potential of a business that was looking to be open till, late at night, say 1 o'clock in the morning. So,
No, these guys don't want to run a bar whatsoever. They want, like I said, it's going to be a New England style kind of chowder house, fish and chips, and nobody's really doing any good fish and chip eating that late at night.
oh, sure. No, I understand, and thank you for clarifying that.
So Bob Marvel here, just a follow-up question on that discussion. Do you foresee a specific limit on the types of alcohol? Is it just beer, wine, or are you serving all kinds of alcohol?
The license is for all spirits. I believe the cart application as it is in for your town would just be beer and wine. So that was, the outside 40 feet away from the door, beer and wine, but inside the restaurant would be a full bar service.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Lisa, I have a quick question for Lisa. Lisa, we are right now, we are just we're just discussing the liquor license, right? We're not going into anything else, or is that, or can we?
This is Lisa. Right now, that is what you're discussing.
Okay,
And there are 2 or 3 subsequent hearings after the liquor license hearing.
okay, thank you very much. Okay, I have a question here too. I know, and I had seen some advertisements for, for some of these cruise nights, car shows and stuff. And I also saw some info on here about having a potential beverage cart. Is that something, is the beverage cart something that you anticipate having? I mean, you don't plan on serving people playing mini golf, do you? I mean, and stuff like that, or what's the, and if you do plan on having a beverage cart of some sort, what are your plans with that? Because it's obviously, I mean, farther than 40 feet away from the.
Sure. Yeah.
restaurant.
No. So it's not. It's just the beer and wine outside. So outside. It's not.
40 feet from
Yeah,
the
40
side.
feet from the door.
Okay.
It's not over at the range or anything like that.
It's a driving range.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from any other council members? Okay, not hearing any questions right now. With reserving the option to ask some questions in the future, I would like to ask if there's anyone here that would like to speak for or against this this license. And if you would, please raise your hand by using *9 on your telephone. Okay, I do not see anyone else raising their hand to speak for or against this project here. So I'd like to give it back to the council members if there's any more questions.
Mr. President, Councilman Hurst, I make a motion this be granted.
Which license are we talking here? I
The-
see, over here on the, on our agenda here, we have
Liquor
different-
license.
We usually vote on
Yes.
licenses separately, Councilman Hurst.
Okay,
We usually vote on licenses separately because there's different types of licenses.
I get it, but I see here a Class A liquor, Class BV, Class BV limited. So they're applying for a BV, so I just want to clarify that.
Councilman Hurst, I make a motion, the Class BV liquor license requested be granted.
Could I interrupt there, Mr. President?
Yes,
I'm
yes,
sorry,
yes, you
Councilman
can.
Hurst, but I want to make sure that we're correct on this. I spoke to the clerk today and I'd be happy to have her correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that what we're voting on is just a Class B license. There are no town ordinances that deal with liquor licenses, so we're looking at the state laws, and I don't see a state statute that provides for a license that is called Class BV. I see just Class B, which is what I think we're dealing with here, and I think the V deals with the victualling license, which would be separate, and it would be coming up next on the agenda.
Councilor Seipel, if you go in our agenda that we received, Councilman Hurst, it says on the bottom of the page, on the title page of the Hopkinton Town Council, it says Class BV liquor license, and it's right there in black and white.
No, I agree that that is what is on the agenda, but I don't believe that they're actually under the Rhode Island liquor licensing statutes. I don't believe there is a Class BV license. I think it is Class B that we're applying here. I think either BV might be an old term used under an older statute, but I don't think that is a actual license. And I think we're doing the food license next separately.
This is Lisa. That is correct. The correction couldn't be made to the agenda. The agenda was already posted. So
Okay,
that would be a separate motion to, after you consider to approve or deny the license itself, then you'd move on to whether or not to set the limit on liquor licenses, and the correct wording should be Class B.
Should I withdraw my motion, Councilor Hurst?
Yes, I have one.
President, if I could just add, I'm referring, it's Rhode Island General Laws, Section 3-7-7, and we may want the applicant's attorney to weigh in and agree that that is the correct type of license that's being applied for.
Yeah.
I'll confirm.
Okay, Councilman Hurst, I will withdraw
Councilman
my
Hurst, this
motion.
is Council President Moffat. I have one question before you make a motion, if you would. And this is regarding to a liquor liability insurance. I had talked with the solicitor earlier today. I just wanted to ask the applicant's attorney if they had a liquor liability insurance.
Yeah, it's all in place. Everything obviously is hinging upon the approvals of this, right? They weren't going to go pay all their huge premiums and all that. But everything is in place for when, assuming these approvals come through, and we can get you that binder over as soon as this lease becomes active.
Excellent. Thank you very much,
I'd
Council.
ask the council, Councilman Hurst, I'd like to ask the council president, do you want me to withdraw my motion and restate a Class B with make sure that their insurance is in place?
I would like you, yes, if you would remove your motion and just restate what was just expressed here between Attorney Seipel and Lisa regarding the Class B.
Okay,
Please.
I withdraw my motion. Councilman Hurst, I make a motion, do we grant a Class B liquor license, and they have their insurance is in place, including liquor liability.
And do I have a second?
Chair, Council Garrick, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hurst, aye.
Gary, aye.
Davis, aye.
Marvel, aye.
And Moffat, aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, we have the victualling license. Number 2, discuss and consider opening a remote hearing on an application for a Class A victualling license filed by Little Rhodey Lobster LLC, Anthony Restivo. 40
Mr.
Pequot-
President, Councilman Hurst, before you get on to victualling license, the previous agenda item notes about limiting the different classes of liquor.
Thank you for noticing that, Counselor Hurst.
Mr. President, I make a motion that the town of Hopkinton limits to set the limit on these liquor licenses. Class A, 2, Class B, 5, no,
Yes.
Class B limited.
Yeah.
1, and Class C 1. I just eliminated the B, Lisa.
That's correct.
Okay, I make that a motion.
Is there a second?
Chair, Council Gary, second.
All in favor?
Hurst, aye.
Gary,
Marvel,
Davis,
aye.
aye.
Moffat, aye. Motion passes. Thank you for reminding me there, Counselor Hurst.
No problem.
Next up, victualling license. Number 2, discuss and consider opening a remote hearing on an application for a Class A victualling license filed by Little Rhodey Lobster LLC, Anthony Restivo, 40 Pequot Road, North Kingstown, RI, 02852, and Kevin Sullivan, 35 Harrison Avenue, Newport, RI, 02860, for property located at 15A Frontier Road, Ashaway, RI, 02804, owned by BCP LLC, 140 High Street, Wesley, RI, 02891. Obviously, the applicant and representatives are here. All fees and paid and notices are posted. Is there any discussion amongst the council? Not hearing.
I support this granting, and before you ask anybody in the public, I would be willing to make a motion to approve it, or any other counselor, but I will vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Lisa, I see your hand up. Is it just up or?
That was
From
for the
before?
previous.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to ignore you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak for or against this license? If so, please hit *9 to raise your hand. Not seeing any hands raised, we will move on. Councilor
President.
Hurst, would you like to make your motion?
Mr. President, Councilman Hurst, I make a motion that the victualling license of Little Rhodey Lobster be granted.
Is there a second?
Chair, Council,
Karen Davis,
I'd second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Councilor Hurst, aye.
Marvel, aye.
Davis, aye.
Moffat, aye. Motion passes. Little Rhodey Lobster LLC will be issued a victualling license.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, holiday sales license. Number 3, discuss and consider opening a remote hearing on application for holiday sales license filed by Little Rhodey Lobster LLC, Anthony Restivo, 40 Pequot Road of North Kingstown, RI, 02852, and Kevin Sullivan, 35 Harrison Avenue, Newport, RI, 02860, for property located at 15A Frontier Road, Ashaway, RI, 02804, owned by BCP LLC, 140 High Street, Wesley, RI, 02891. All the applicants and representatives are present. All fees and notices are posted. Is there any discussion?
Just ask the public, because I support granting this license.
Thank you. Lisa, I just have one quick question before I do that. The holiday sales license just grants them the ability to be open on holidays, I'm assuming. That's it?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. If anyone wishing to speak for or against is in the audience, could you please raise your hand at this moment and *9 on your telephone to raise your hand, please? Not seeing any hands raised. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, Councilman Hurst, I make a motion, the holiday sales license for Little Rhodey Lobster be granted.
Do I have a second?
Chair, Council Gary, I second Councilor Hurst's motion.
All in favor?
Councilman Hurst, aye.
Council Gary, aye.
Marvel, I.
Moffat, aye.
Davis, aye.
Motion passes. Little Rhodey Lobster LLC is issued or will be issued a holiday sales license.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, multi-event permit. Number 4, discuss and consider opening a remote hearing on application for a multi-event permit filed by Little Rhodey Lobster LLC. Anthony Restivo, 40 Pequot Road, North Kingstown, Rhode Island, 02852, and Kevin Sullivan, 35 Harrison Avenue, Newport, RI, 02860. Property located at 15A Frontier Road, Ashway, RI, 02804, owned by BCP LLC, 140 High Street, Wesley, RI, 02891. Applicant and representatives are present. All fees paid and notices posted. Is there any discussion? I will ask, what type of, do you have a list of events that you plan on pursuing?
I'm so glad you asked that question because I asked my client, and I so wanted to say this. There's something called the National Doughboy Day and Clam Cake Day. And so those are the types of events that they'd be looking at, some eating contests, things of that nature, would be for the special events and the permit day. But, I had no idea until about 5 minutes ago that we actually had a National Doughboy Day. So it kind of made my evening.
There you go. This would, I'm assuming, would fall under for these car show / cruise nights and stuff like that. Will, my concern is kind of, summertime, Rhode Island off the highway could get kind of a little busy here. So I have concerns about proper, traffic control and stuff like that. That's kind of definitely a concern of mine. So I don't know if there's any type of anything you potentially have in place.
At that location. So I was just informed that apparently that location's been having events like these for sort of like the past 15 years down there. I know that, if they needed to put into place some extra employment to direct traffic, that they could absolutely do that. They're going to have, they're looking to staff, a hardy staff. I don't think they're looking to do, to understaff these types of events if everything were going to get, large like that. If the town were going to require anything above and beyond that, I know that my clients are willing to work with everybody to not have, major congestion and any issues, but rather support the town and put on a good event.
The same DJs that's been hosting it, the same DJ.
And also, I just have another question. I mean, I obviously we're in the, I'm assuming you're going to follow all Rhode Island guidelines as far as COVID-19 and all that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay. So is there a point person on that type of stuff? I mean,
At this point in time, it's going to be Mr. Restivo.
okay,
So he would be sort of the main operator, point person.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from any other council members? Okay, not hearing any other questions from any other council members. I'm going to open up to the public if there's anyone who would wish to speak for or against the multi-event permit. If so, please hit *9 to raise your hand. Okay, not seeing any hands raised. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, Councilman Hurst, I make a motion that the multi-event permit for Little Rhodey Lobster be granted.
Do I have a second?
Chair, Council Gary, I second Councilor Hurst's motion.
All in favor?
Hurst, aye.
Geary, aye.
Marvel, I.
Davis, aye.
And Moffat, aye. Motion passes. Little Rhodey Lobster LLC will be issued a multi-event permit.
Thank you guys very much. I know they're looking forward to putting a good place in there for the town. So thank you.
And thank you very much. Just make sure Lisa gets all of her stuff that she needs to.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Hey,
Very much appreciated, everybody. Thank you for your time.
Councilor Gary.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Council Gary.
No, for the attorney for the LLC.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to say welcome to town. Everybody is very much looking forward to your client's establishment. And just want to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Counselor Hurst, I would say that I do welcome you to town, and I think you're going to certainly probably do well. And I wish you well, and I think it's a positive in the town. And just welcome aboard. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
And this is Counselor Davis. I just want to say, I think that you usually go to
Charlestown Seafood Festival.
Yes, yes, and I always stop there.
Wonderful. We look forward to seeing you
I
there
love
again.
lobster. I love lobster, and I hope you include it on the menu.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Mr. President,
Yes, Council Hurst.
I move to adjourn as a licensing board and reconvene as council.
Excellent.
Counselor Davis seconds.
All in favor?
Hurst, aye.
Davis, aye.
Marvel, I.
Moffat, aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. All right, up next, we have the consent agenda. I want to hold off just a second while, thank you very much, Councilor Gary.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Council Gary. Consent agenda is up next. Approved Town Council Budget Workshop and Town Council Meeting Minutes of March 15th, 2021. Approved Town Council Budget Workshop Minutes of March 8th, 2021. Accept the February 16th, 2021 and March 1st, 2021 transcripts as the record of the hearings for proposed zoning ordinance amendments filed by Tom and Cynthia Skolko. Approve abatement to 2020 supplemental motor vehicle tax due to farm vehicle exemption submitted by the tax assessor. Approve refunds to 2020 motor vehicle tax due to overpayment/abatement submitted by the tax collector. Ratify and approve the 14th local declaration of emergency from April 5th, 2021 to June 7th, 2021.
Mr. President, I request the town council remote meeting minutes of March 15th, 2021 be voted on separately. With that, I move that all the others are approved.
Do I have a second?
Marvel, I second.
All in favor?
First, aye.
Council Gary, aye.
Marvel, I.
Davis, aye.
And Moffat, aye.
Yeah.
Consent agenda is approved.
Mr. President, I move that the remote meeting minutes of March 15th be approved with the exception of in several places that love is spelled L-U-V-S. It just be changed to loves, L-O-V-E-S. I believe is the correct, or whatever the correct spelling is. I know it was corrected in one area, but there's several mistakes, and I make a lot of mistakes myself, but that should be corrected for the record, that's all. And with those exceptions throughout the minutes, should say loves. Other than that, I make a motion that they be adopted. Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Marvel, I second.
All in favor?
First, aye.
Marvel, I.
Davis, aye.
Moffat, aye. Motion passes. All right, up next. Old business. Charahoe related matters requested by Counselor Hertz. Discussion regarding the Charahoe budget vote, replacement of 4 elementary schools with 1 regional elementary school.
Yes, Counselor Hurst. First of all, I'll be voting no tomorrow, but, and also, I want to talk about the replacement of all elementary schools with 1 regional elementary school. I think it's very important, and I hope the voters remember, there's a maintenance of effort requirement that minus things like non-recurring expenses, a decrease in student enrollment, the school district has to get the same amount of money as the previous year. And the school committee moves the line items around. They have that power even after the budget is adopted. I'm strongly a big supporter of an outside management study to identify where the budget could be improved and school operations be improved. And an outside management study, nobody would control the ball. And you would have a professional critique. That's the most non-political way I can see this being addressed. And the school committee would still have the option of not following any recommendations of the outside management study. And another reason I strongly believe in an outside management study is we are told that in April of next year, 2022, we're going to be voting on a building proposal. So it would seem that it's best to identify what the staffing needs and other needs of whether it's a 1 school or 2 schools or the remaining situation. In addition to that, Mr. President, I believe that the building official of the town of Hopkinton, and in fact, the building official of all 3 towns should look at the current conditions of our present elementary schools. According to the Charahoe Act, the Charahoe School District is responsible for the maintenance of our elementary schools. And I'm a little concerned about how they've been maintained. And I like to have somebody that works for the town of Hopkinton, our building and zoning official, to look at the property and give a report to the town council what their views are, not somebody that works for Charahoe, but somebody that works for the town of Hopkinton. As far as the replacement of the 4 elementary schools with 1 regional elementary school, I think the Charahoe School Committee is making a mistake because something that big, which is historic, because historically, Hopkinton, for example, has always had 2 elementary schools since at least the first half of the 20th century. And I think it's very important for the school committee, if they're going to do such a historic major change as having 1 elementary school or 2 or whatever the case may be, they should be working collaboratively with the town councils. And I know they're not answerable to the town councils, but it would seem that if you really think it's that crucial, that you should enlist or talk to the town councils, because that thing is going to have to be sold to the public. And I'm not in favor of 1 elementary school. Maybe I can be swayed, but right now it's a no for me. But the thing is, if you're going to do something that major, you have to get the town councils on board. And I think the problem with the school committee is they seem to show no respect for the town council, and they have the benefit that's never really mentioned, that like a single school district like Westerly, the school committee, bottom line, their school budget does not have to be approved by member councils in the Charahoe region, but in a single member school district like Westerly, the town council has the power to approve the bottom line of a school budget. So I thank you for that, but I just think it's short-sighted by the short-sighted, excuse me, for the school committee not to have an outside management study, especially in lieu of the fact that they want people to consider a reduction in elementary schools, or the possible reduction of elementary schools. And then this fiscal year that we're voting on tomorrow is a 2021-22 budget, and yet they expect us to be voting on a building proposal in April of 2022. And that's all I have to say, and I thank you for letting me say it. And I know some people might not agree with me, but that's my position. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Does anyone have anything to add to Scott's conversation for, or against, or just wants to,
Chair,
to speak?
Chair, Council Gary, I kind of echo Councilor Hurst's thoughts on where he sits this. There has been a lot of feedback. I know I've received a lot of feedback on why do we need to have all the schools in one place? We already have one elementary school that's sitting there. Just imagine if we had 3 more. I really don't like the way this was presented to us on a new building. We talked about it on a Monday night. Next Tuesday afternoon, school committee voted on it. So that's pretty much where I'm at with that.
Okay. All right, well, this is Counselor Moffett. I just want to say that, that if you do go to the town website, you will see a newsletter with links that will allow you to ask questions directly to the finance director, to the superintendent, and there's a list of questions and answers on there. So if you have a question and you want it on there, they will answer that question and post it on it. I would absolutely encourage everyone and anyone to go and check that out. You can also find that on the school district website, and the state's clearly in there. That, I mean, you know, although they chose, you know, option A, you know, the one large school, they have obviously said that they had to start somewhere, and they're looking for feedback and input, and this isn't necessarily the direction that they're going to go. I come from the school of thought of, you know, if they weren't out looking for ways to improve the schools, improve the districts, and come up with various ideas, I would think that they weren't doing their job also. So, you know, so that's kind of how I see it. Again, you know, as far as what Scott said earlier, you know, about the school budget and all that, this has been beaten up and down as far as I can remember. And, you know, since, I mean, for at least 25 years. And it's been the same argument every single year. And I understand there are some, you know, there's some validity to it, but it's just, I'm amazed that we haven't cracked that nut in 25 years, you know. And again, you know, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it comes down to the voters. You know, I want to see the, you know, the voters show up and vote and show us how they feel about it. And that's about it.
Chair, Council Gary, can I share one more thought real quick? I don't want
Sure, go
to
ahead.
beat this. I don't want to beat this. One of the other things I have not seen yet is any kind of traffic study, because switch roads not going to be able to handle that amount of volume. You're also going to have to up your buses because you're going farther out now. So there's a lot of things that really haven't come to fruition yet, or seen a report or anything like that.
Sure, absolutely. You know, Council Gary, I'm sure that that's, I mean, going to be there. You know, I mean, you know, obviously welcome you to, you know, to be there at some of those meetings to share your ideas. You know, so that, you know, these things, you know, aren't, you know, overlooked. So
Yeah, I mean,
and I
just
encourage all of us to do it.
yeah, just take first thing. Well, it should be there regardless. Is a traffic light at the end of Switch Road in 91. There should be a
Oh,
traffic light there, definitely.
Especially during the school days, because when I was at the sod farm, working at the sod farm,
Yep.
you know, driving a big tractor down there to go do some stuff. I mean,
And
unbelievable.
it takes a lot to stop an 18-wheel. It takes a lot to stop a school bus.
Yep.
Just a thought. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Do any other
Steve?
council member? Yes, Sharon, go ahead, Sharon.
Okay. When Ned Draper answered your questions
Yep.
via an email, he also included their necessity of school construction update, dated February 25th, 2021. And in that they have estimated what the Terre Haute Regional School District total enrollment will be through 2029, 30, and between 2020, 21 and 2024, 25, the people who did the study for them estimated that there was going to be a 7% increase. And if you look at the previous years, I don't understand how they could think that there would be an increase of students. At least at the elementary level, I don't see it. And so I have a lot of questions about that. And then also on the page where they're talking about the top 3 preferred school planning options, under option B, they say that it's going to require, that's the one where they get rid of Hope Valley and increase the other 3 schools. It says it would require a Terre Haute Act change. And I would think that option A, the one that they're talking about, just only having 1 big school, I would think that should require a Terre Haute Act change also. So I don't think that we should be spending money if we think we'll have to have a Terre Haute Act change. That will take a lot of work.
Well, I mean, honestly, unfortunately, but I mean, that's going to come up in a vote. I mean, the voters are going to vote on it. You know, we can't, I mean, we can't go against the will of how this turns out.
No. I'm
Yeah,
not
sure.
trying to do that. I'm just bringing out things for people
Sure.
to look at and think about. That's all.
Thank you, Sharon. And those are
Okay.
definitely things to think about. Absolutely. 100%.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, if there's no other discussion on this, we're going to move on to new business. And in new business here, we have discuss and consider selecting a date for an ethics training session to be conducted by the Rhode Island Ethics Commission. So this, Lisa, do you want to kind of give us a little bit on that?
Yes, let
we
me
need
get
to
my,
select a
I have a
date?
calendar. Yes, let me just grab my calendar and get that to the right pages. And no, that one.
And again, this type of training is important for all the town boards and commissions, including the town council. You know, we just it's been a while since something like this has been done in town, so I think it's in the best interest of all of us to attend and be involved in this type of meeting.
So in following up, this is Lisa, in following up with Lynn Radishes from the Ethics Commission, she gave me a couple of different dates that I did not have in your packet. She suggested each one was a first or a third Monday of the month, May 3rd, May 17th, or June 21st. And she can hold any of those dates. And I believe that she had indicated that training takes about 45 to 60 minutes.
Okay.
So if you wished to have it on a regular council meeting night,
Yeah.
you could schedule it for 7 p.m. I mean, 6 p.m., excuse me. So those are the dates she tossed out to me, and but she was certainly open to other dates.
Okay.
Councilman Hurst, I prefer a regular council meeting date. And some people like myself, in fact, this month, those of us have to submit an ethics form, and usually can ask for an extension of 60 days, which I usually, and then it gives you some flexibility. But a lot of the things with ethics are basically simple. If you have a relative, a business associate that has a financial interest, usually that's what it impacts. But because even I know a few years ago, I got involved in a little controversy in town because I objected to a spouse appointing their spouse to to one of the boards in town, and I was told that wasn't a conflict because it wasn't a paying position. So you learn a lot about different things, but I prefer to have it on a council night. And any time that any of us think there's even a remote possibility of a violation that benefits us or an immediate relative, which is defined, if you look at your notice, you have a look at your notices, then I would just call the Ethics Commission and ask them for an opinion. That's the best way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. So, I also think a regular scheduled a council meeting night would be great. I heard Lisa say May 3rd, so I'm going to lean towards May 3rd.
I agree with May 3rd. This is Counselor Davis.
Marvel here, that's fine with me. My question is, are we going to ask members of boards and commissions to attend May 3rd as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
and all town officials will be invited.
Yeah,
And would that
everybody.
also be open to the public?
I believe, yeah.
Because it's
Yeah,
a
'cause
regular meeting.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Chair, Council Gary.
Yes, Council Gary.
I agree with all the fellow counselors. Also, too, you might have gotten a nice little envelope in the mail. Maybe not for some of you new guys, but some of us guys have sat on boards or town council. Your ethics report is due too.
Yep. Yep.
Well, we would, Counselor Hurst, we all would have to fill out the form because we took our oath of office in November. So all of us were elected officials in 2020. So we
Yes,
all
sir.
have to do it. Thank you. But you
Yep.
can get an extension for 60 days. Thank you.
And you can also do it online too.
Yeah, they'll send you send your paperwork out to you.
Excellent. So
6
I think,
o'clock?
yeah, 6 o'clock sounds great.
Okay.
So we're going to set that ethics training for Monday, May 3rd, 6 p.m.
Yes, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Excellent. All right. Up next is discuss and consider selecting a date or dates for a training session or sessions for parliamentary procedures and the Open Meetings Act hosted by the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns. Again, this goes back to the kind of the ethics training here is that, I think it's important, and I'm sure all of us think it's important to have this training. Again, it's something that hasn't been done in a while here, and I would like this to include all boards and commissions and everything. I think here. Oh, and the fact that we do have new council members here and new additions to boards and commissions, I think it'd be a great training. So, Lisa, do you have dates and all that? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I'm checking my notes to see if I had anything from, let's see, that was the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns who offered that. I don't know if she had any specifics. I don't recall that she did. So if you wanted to set, I think she wanted to have it earlier in the evening versus later.
Okay.
So I would assume that 6 p.m. would be a good time for her as well. It seems to be early enough to have the training done, and if it needs to be in 2 different sessions, perhaps we should select a couple of different dates, just as an option.
Sure.
So if you want me to repeat the dates that are upcoming in May, that would be, you have May 3rd is already set aside, so you have May 17th. Unless you want to go with an alternate Monday, because that way you'd have a little more time.
Why don't we just do it on a council meeting night?
Okay, so that would be, you have May 17th,
Yep.
June 7th, June 21st. I don't know if you want me to keep going into July.
No, Lisa, I would say the May, I think it would say 17th. 17th, so I would say
17th.
10. If we could 10, please save, I mean, for those for the May 17th meeting and the June 7th, I think it was, I mean, to see either, which one works. Do you,
Okay.
do you remember, I mean, I looked at the paperwork, or the email, I just couldn't remember how long she said this type of training lasted. Was it an hour potentially, or?
I can't recall, and unfortunately, it was scheduled last April, but
Right.
the pandemic did a
Right.
job on that, and it was canceled, and I did not see my earlier email. Let me see.
I
Okay,
have, this is Bob Marvel. I have a copy
Yep.
of the email here, and in it,
Yep.
this is from Jennifer Slattery.
Yeah.
And she says, each portion of the session is an hour, so we could do 2 one-hour sessions
Two.
or
Oh,
do
yep,
both
I see.
on the same evening. So it's 2 hours in total, it appears.
All right, so that would be something to consider. Do you want to do it in one whole night, or do you want to split it up on 2 different nights?
Let's do it in one full night and get it over with.
Yeah, I think that's probably best.
Yeah.
So we may want to pick a different Monday, if
Okay.
it's going to be 2 hours. It's difficult for people to get home from
Right.
work. You start at 5, and
Yep.
and that, so.
I prefer a fourth Monday.
So the 24th is a Monday, and that's not the holiday weekend, so maybe May 24th?
That would work with me. This is Bob Marvel.
Yeah, that's fine with Steve.
Go aesthetic.
Okay,
You
all
know,
right, 6 PM,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that is the
Councilman.
4th Monday, Scott.
Thank you. Councilman Hurst, I just like to point out, a lot of these things, you don't have to be an skilled parliamentarian like you're on Congress or the General Assembly, but a lot of these things, like, a lot of this stuff is common sense. If you're related to somebody, you check things out. In as far as Open Meetings Act, the biggest problem with local boards like town councils is that if you talk to a majority of your board, you're in violation. And if you talk to one person, if I would have talked to Mike, and then I go around and talk to Council Marvel, for example, that's something known as a rolling quorum. And that's considered an open meetings violation. So that's why you cannot talk to more than short of a majority on your board, as I understand, and I stand corrected on that. So you can't talk to every member of the town council privately, and because it would be a violation. So that's something that you got to take into consideration. It's just like somebody would say to me, and I said, gee, I've already talked to Councilor Gary on that, and I'd be in violation. So that's the problem. Thank you.
Excellent. This is Councilor Moffett. I think this would be a great training, not only for the councils, boards, and commissions, but anyone in the public who kind of, had questions regarding these type of things. Why do we, do, or vote the way we do? Make motions and all this other stuff too. I think that'd be a great learning event for everyone. So I think again, we're not, per se picking on anybody. I just think this is a great training for all of us in town here who volunteer our time for these boards and commissions and stuff. So that's that.
I agree.
So, so up next, we're going to move on. Next is discuss, consider, and possibly vote to establish standard procedures and requirements for meetings held by towns, boards, and commissions, requested by Councilor Marvel.
Yeah, so this is Bob Marvel. So I know that one of the things that we've talked about a lot since we were elected was setting up standards for, procedural, how we handle certain things. And I think that dovetails nicely into something that I've been trying to grapple with, and that is the fact that when you try and find some of the prior meeting minutes from some of the boards and commissions, it's a bit spotty as to whether or not you're going to find information. You can always go on the Secretary of State website But even for me, who is pretty experienced at finding things online, it's not easy, and it's not it's not self-explanatory on how to go about finding that information. So, you know, we have some boards and commissions that are very diligent about, you know, posting their meeting minutes once they're approved on our town website. I think it really is just a matter of submitting those meeting minutes to our IT director so that he can post them on the website. Some boards and commissions will record their meetings and provide those recordings to the town website. And I think that is a very good practice that we should adopt and ask all of our boards and commissions to do, certainly with some exceptions. I know the Juvenile Hearing Board probably shouldn't be recording, providing a recording because of personal information, but I think a lot of our boards and commissions are, you know, they are open to the public, and I think that they should be recorded, and the recordings should be made available to the public, as well as the meeting minutes.
Councilman Hurst, I believe that there is a law already on the books that requires minutes to be taken. And Lisa can correct me because she knows the procedural things of Attorney Slipo. But the thing is, I think a lot of times it's tough to get somebody to do the work to take minutes. And the minutes don't really have to be that complicated. Whoever takes the minutes, basically a lot of times you only have to report motions. So you don't have to do a stenographic reporting of a meeting, because I know a lot of people don't like to be the secretary, and you probably dread if you was a town clerk or the deputy town clerk taking minutes for a council meeting. But and nonetheless, I think it's important to maybe send out a notice to all the boards and commissions and ask them to maintain certain standards, and remind them of what the legal requirements are, and just say that, make sure that they have somebody that's going to take the minutes, and have somebody as a backup in case somebody doesn't show up. I know, and that's probably the best way to approach it, but nonetheless, I think to start, as a starting point, if Councilor Marble would agree, that we send a notice out and say there's a concern about maintaining minutes and what the legal responsibilities are. And if there's any question of how to maintain minutes, contact the town clerk's office, and they will inform you on what is the legal minimum you have to do. As far as I know, you only have to report basically motions. You don't have to say so-and-so said this or so-and-so said that. You might want to go do an overview of what was discussed at the meeting, but basically, and I'll let others correct me if I'm wrong, but basically you only really have to report motions and things of that nature. And certainly you put down attendance and whether or not you had a quorum and things of that nature. Thank you.
Steve, you're on mute.
Can I speak?
Yes, go ahead, Lisa.
I agree with what Counselor Hurst said as far as meeting minutes. They do not have to be detailed. I don't think that's what the issue is, though. I think at this point, everybody's been filing their meeting minutes, taking notes, and filing them with the Secretary of State's office. I think what Counselor Marble's intending to do is have everybody in turn, after their meeting minutes are approved and submitted to the Secretary of State's office, to have them forwarded on to the IT director for posting on the website, if I'm not mistaken.
Lisa, is Councilor Geary.
Yep.
Lisa, is there like, say like when we get through it tonight, is there a timeline? Say like you have 2 or 3 days to upload it or get it to the Secretary of State. What's the timeline? is my question.
Well, it's two parts.
Okay.
If you bear with me, the open meetings law requires the agendas to be posted 48 hours prior to the meeting, excluding weekends and holidays. And then as far as the meeting minutes are concerned, they're supposed to be considered at their next regularly scheduled meeting. Now, with COVID, there have been many instances where meetings were canceled. So in that situation, ideally what they are to do is they are required to do a draft set of meeting minutes and upload them to the Secretary of State's website if they're not going to meet that 35-day window. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Council Chair, Council Gary.
Go ahead, sir.
I think we also got to keep in mind too that a lot of our boards, commissions are volunteers. Maybe we could recommend that maybe either you or Lisa maybe type up a letter to whatever the commission, whatever the chair or board,
Yeah.
send out a letter saying, hey, just kind of outline, nice, friendly, warm letter saying, hey, we would like you guys to upload either your minutes or like that in a timely manner.
Sure. I mean, and Council Geary, I mean, this is kind of, it's kind of segued into kind of what we previously talked about going through these, having these training sessions about the open meeting minutes and posting all this stuff. So again, I mean, I think, moving forward, I like Councilor Marvel's suggestion that, these minutes need to be readily available. I mean, you seriously have to hunt for stuff. I mean, and almost get lucky sometimes to find it. I mean, a person who has a medium knowledge of computers will not find him. I mean, at all. So I just wanted to say that.
So I wanted to clarify with Council Marvel that is what I just want to make sure that I'm clarifying for everybody that that's what you're intending to have done.
Yeah, Councilor Marvel here. Yeah, yes. In terms
Yep.
of the meeting minutes, that is
Yeah.
absolutely what I was looking for. Also, with regard to the fact that the meeting minutes are not required to be anything more in depth than what the votes were and so forth. I think that having meetings, boards and commission meetings that are available to the public anyway, I think that having them recorded and then having the recordings made available on our website also provides, transparency and allows folks who can't attend the meetings but want to know what's going on to be able to view the videos afterwards. And of course, that's, easy to do now because all of our meetings are via Zoom. Once we go back to in-person meetings, we'll have to determine how best to do that.
This is Councilor Moffitt.
Thank
I'm in agreement with Councilor Marvel. I think, I mean, people aren't always able to make those meetings. I think, I think it's pretty important that we do that if we can do it. Like Councilor Marvel said, now it's easy. We're all on a Zoom platform. We may even be able to, and again, it's maybe a question for the IT is, can these meetings be recorded in this format and posted on the site? Is it that easy? Is it an added cost? Is there, kind of that way? I mean, our town council meetings are recorded. I mean, everybody sees what's discussed. Again, not everybody can make, town council meetings, so you get to watch it. So I just want to state for the record that I am for what Council Marvel is stating there, that I think we should, if we can, look for a way that we can, record everything. I mean, that way, if anybody wants to see anything, it can be seen. There's no questions asked, no, concerns are kind of, done away with because they are able to attend.
This is Lisa. May I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it sounds like you're focusing on perhaps maybe the Zoom platform. So there does seem to be some questions that need to be answered as far as how many people can do so, if there's any conflict with having in some evenings where there's two meetings the same night, can you use the same ID numbers? I don't know enough about it, and unfortunately, we have a vacancy in the IT department right now. And so until we get that position filled, there's going to be a delay in getting things uploaded to the website, I believe. So
Right. So-
is there going to be like a couple of weeks time to let everybody consider this and then get back, or is this going to be an immediate thing? I just want to know to provide the boards and commissions with as much information as possible.
Sure, Lisa. So this would be my suggestion. And I mean, I think, again, we're having a discussion about it. I don't think it's necessarily something that we should maybe vote on right now. I think it's something that we kind of started the conversation. We've set up some meetings here to have, the ethics and the Parliamentary Procedures and Open Meetings Act, education events. And I think that this is something that we could probably put in the old business and kind of, touch on at the next meeting and just kind of progress through it, you know what I mean? And not just really, kind of, force it down the throat, you know what I mean? For lack of a better word, just kind of, just keep the discussion going about it to see how we can go about doing this. Does
Okay.
that help
I
at
just
all?
want to make sure. It does. I will certainly send out an email or a memo to everybody. You'll get a copy of it, and to give everybody an opportunity to review and consider what's being asked of them. I think that's fair. And then
100%.
at least they'll be able to discuss it, and then we'll have more information going forward.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Lisa. And also, I mean, they may also have other suggestions as well. You know what I mean? I think, this might not be, just limited to us per se. I think, there are some, smart people on some of the other boards and commissions who may have some ideas as well as to how we can facilitate this type of.
Okay.
Chair, Council Gary, I think that's an excellent idea. We can continue this down the road and let everybody kind of let Lisa do her thing.
Sure. I mean, I want everybody, to be comfortable with it. So I think that the conversation has started, and it's a conversation to be continued also. So.
Yep, Bob Marvel here. I totally agree with that.
Mr.
Okay.
President.
I'll work on a memo.
Yes, yes, Mr. Seipel.
Yes, Steve Seipel, the town solicitor. I pulled up the statute that deals with meeting minutes, and that timeline is 35 days to get your minutes submitted to the Secretary of State.
Okay.
And the statute, it's 4246(7). The minutes can be limited to just the date, time, and place of the meeting, the members of the public body, whether they're absent or present, a record by individual members of any vote taken, and then any other information relevant to the business of the public body that any member of the public body requests be included or reflected in the minutes. So the minutes can be pretty simple. When it comes to the other boards and commissions, the rules I think the rules are less strict for advisory boards as compared to, say, like the planning board or the zoning board, which has power to vote on applications and issue permits. I know that a zoning board is required to either have an audio recording or a stenographer at every meeting. A lot of zoning boards use both. The planning board is not required to do that, but sometimes these requirements do vary. Every board has to follow the Open Meetings Act, but then for the zoning board comes to mind particularly as having additional requirements in the Zoning Enabling Act. But I'm not aware of any boards that require a video recording. That's something that would be optional. That would probably be going above and beyond generally what would be required. So like usually bare minimum would be posting meeting minutes. And then a zoning board is required to have an audio recording or a stenographer. But
And
that,
generally both.
I'm sorry, Councilman?
Yeah, council, yeah, generally both we do. When I've been zoning, they either have, either A, it's videotaped, or B, it is stenographer.
Right, yeah, that's required for the zoning board because those are quasi judicial proceedings and they're appealable. And so, right, so I mean, I think it would be great to have, you know, an archive of videos of public meetings, but that would certainly not be something that the town would be required to do in most cases.
So Council Gary, so it's what, we have, say like at the end of tonight, we have 35 days to get this uploaded to the Secretary of State.
Yes.
Okay.
May I-
Sometimes you have to upload unofficial minutes if you're not. This is a fairly recent requirement. It happened in the last, I don't know, 5 years or so that they put this deadline, this 35 days, which makes it really difficult for a board that only meets once a month to have a chance to review and approve their minutes. So sometimes to comply with that, with the Secretary of State, what you need to do is upload unofficial minutes and then wait for them to be voted on and approved by the board.
Hey, Council.
I think that's
Also,
very
one-
important,
one-
Councilor Hurst, because, you know, it's sometimes a quorum it cannot be met. And as long as, I think people are understanding, if you try to obey the law and not try to hide anything from people, I think that will satisfy most people, not everybody, because you always have a person who will object to the sun coming up in the morning. But I think it's, if you follow that, and we can do the unofficial until somebody has a chance to approve it. I think if we bust people too much on volunteers, as long as they make a serious effort to follow the open meetings law, I think that's probably good. Thank you.
I also see in the statute here, it says that this requirement for the 35 days shall not apply to public bodies whose responsibilities are solely advisory in nature. So I think there are some boards and commissions in town that might apply to as well. Not that I would encourage everyone to get, you know, publicly get the meeting minutes out in a timely manner, but
Let me get this right. So if there's no language that states 35 days, then it's no state law, right? So
well, the 35 days is right in the statute, but it says that it doesn't. I'm looking at
advisory and all that.
4246(7) subsection D, and it says that all public bodies shall keep minutes. They'll be posted to the Secretary of State in 35 days, provided this subsection shall not apply to public bodies whose responsibilities are solely advisory in nature. I mean, if there is a particular board that has any questions about how to comply with any of this, I would always be available and happy to help with that. Because
Excellent.
planning and zoning have, you know, attorneys assigned to the board to
Sure.
attend all the meetings, but the other boards and commissions do not. And so I'd be happy to help anyone who needs any help, you know, making sure that their board is in compliance.
Excellent. All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Attorney Seipel. All right, is there any more discussion? If not, I will move on to the next topic. Not hearing anything else. Elisa, I apologize. I know you were trying to chime in there.
That's okay. I'll hold.
Are you sure?
I'm set. I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, up next is a discussion of Potter Hill Dam, mill property and impact on river and related topics with possible actions, including letters, position of the town officials, or any other related action. And this item was requested by Councilor Hurst.
Councilor Hurst, I grew up in the Ashway area all my life, and 4 generations of the Hurst family. I think it's the Potty Hill Dam, I went to the, by Zoom. I don't know if I stayed for the whole meeting, but it was a couple hours I was there, and I was the only council member that spoke. And I don't know if I stayed to the end of, I think I left the meeting. But I was the only council member out of Wesley or Hopkinton that spoke, but I'm a little disappointed in the state DEM because they have the town of Wesley as a partner, and if you know anything, the river is partly in Hopkinton and partly in the town of Wesley. And I think the DEM should have showed more respect to the town of Hopkinton on this issue. And we had a number of people call in, and whether or not the dam should stay or not, and there is concern about the concern about the dam, and everybody knows what an eyesore the mill is and all that type of stuff, and the safety concerns. And that area is both been a delight and a tragedy for many people. Many people have lost their lives either trying to go over the dam and things of that nature. And most people remember the floods in 2010 and things of that nature. But a number of people called in, and they were concerned about things like property values and things of that nature. As a lifelong resident of the Ashway area, I do think of Laurel Street and Ashway, which is usually flooded often or impacted by the river, depending upon its water level, and that's a state road. I'm also concerned about the whole property values, which would impact people in the lowering of the river, especially for not only property values, but water sports, whether it's motorboating, fishing, and canoeing and things of that nature. So it's a topic I'm interested in because I live in the southern part of town, and I'm just concerned about what's going to happen to the water levels and things of that nature. And since the river is in both towns, it's very important the town of Hopkinton be kept in the loop. And then we got that letter about the DM having this hearing, but we were never contacted in the first place. And they have Wesley down as a partner, and I believe the Wesley Land Trust and some other groups, and the town of Hopkinton is not there. And we are a town government. We've been separate from Wesley since 1757. In fact, the first town clerk in this town was my ancestor, and first town clerk in Wesley was my ancestor too. But I'm not going to bore you with my family tree, but the thing that bothers me is that the town of Hopkinton was not included. So I would like to make a motion, Mr. President, and I like this to stay on the agenda, but the council president be directed to ask the Department of Environmental Management to have Hopkinton, the motion is, I move that.
Scott, hold on 1 second before you make your motion.
Yeah.
We received an email, I think Friday. You should have received it in your town email. The town of Westerly asked us to, council members to attend a site visit tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I will be in attendance there. So I don't think they're completely trying to leave us out. I received an email from Lisa Pellegrini. I'm not sure if you're aware of that email.
I would check for it.
Yes, I would look for it. So I have responded and I will be there. I will be in attendance at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Where were they meeting?
I do not know. She's going to get back to me and send me that information.
My understanding.
Steve,
Yes, Sharon.
Steve, the notice that I have, it's a Zoom meeting. You can join it by Zoom.
Yeah,
Yes, you can
by
join it by
Zoom.
Zoom, or you can also be present.
Okay, you can be there physically present.
Scott, I will, nobody else send this to Scott, but I'll send Scott the email to your email, Scott. I will forward you the email.
Yes, because like I said, I grew up in the area and my father wasn't born too far from that area but I just keep me in the loop and I just had a problem with the fact that when you looked at the thing on the Zoom meeting, it had the town of Wesley down as a partner and Hopkins wasn't even mentioned. It really annoyed me. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. So yeah, so I mean, so I say, I mean, I'm gonna be there tomorrow. I know, I will send you that information. And you can also attend on Zoom, it says, in the email. So you may be able to go dig back in your town email, but I will send it to your personal email there, Scott, and so you can have it.
I like to attend in person if possible.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm gonna make time tomorrow. Leave work early and head down there and check it out. So I would like to see what kind of response we get, you know, with our presence being there, and then obviously, you know, if I mean, I too believe that we should have some, you know, be involved, whether it's, you know, just kind of getting all the information that's going to come with it, and it's not, you know, missing us. So I don't want to, and like you said, you know, that mill's been like that for a long time. It's, you know, everybody knows about it. So I would look forward to being in the loop. So I think by being there tomorrow, we'll at
I
least
would
show
like to
them that.
point, Counselor Hurst again, I'd like to point out that I think we should at least try to address property values and recreational aspects of the river as well as the river itself and the depths and things of that nature. And also it was during that Zoom meeting, it was also pointed out that the fish ladder has issues too, supposedly. And one of the things they were talking about is the migration of fish in that area. And I just want to point that out as well as flooding concerns. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look forward to listening to the experts on that. You know, I mean, they've done 2 other projects in White Rock and they've done one in Bradford. So, sure, this isn't something that they're just pulling out of their hat. You know what I mean? It's something that's been studied and done for a long time. So I look forward to hearing what they have to say tomorrow. So is there any other discussion on this? If not, I'm going to move into the public forum.
No, sounds good, Steve.
Excellent. All right. So the discussion, if I'm going to open the public forum. If your phone number ends in 5761, *6 to unmute yourself, please. And just state your name for the record, please. *6 to unmute yourself, please.
Hi, Carol DeRoches, Pleasant View Drive. I was very interested in Councilor Hurst talking about a management study for the Charahoe budget. So my question is for Councilor Hurst, how can you make that happen? You know, I think you mentioned it for a few times in the past few years, and I'm just wondering, you know, instead of just talking about it, how could we make it happen? That's all.
Well, Counselor Hurst, normally we can't respond during public forum and the time to bring it up was when it was on the agenda. But I would say that that's strictly the purview of the school committee. There's no way the town of Hopkins or any town can force them to do that other than through public influence. But I believe that that's the way you do it. There's no way that the town council institutionally can force the school committee to do that other than public opinion. They can blow it off. They can blow it off even if they had one. They control the ball, and that's, I think, the problem with Charahoe. Just the way it is, and I thank you for asking the
So
question.
talking about, yeah,
We have no institutional.
talking about it isn't really getting us anywhere.
No, but other than people, if you're on a town council and people ask you what you think and what needs to take place, you state your opinion. But the sad part about it is that we are held accountable to the state. The state has the budget cap. which the Charahoe budget impacts differently the member towns on their budget cap. And that's the problem mechanically. The town council is accountable for the budget cap, which the Charahoe budget influences, but we have no control over approving or disapproving as a council the Charahoe budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, looks like Joe. Joe, if you could just state your name for the record, please.
Hi, this is Joe Moreau. Thank you for your time tonight. I just want to say I think it's a great idea to have these training sessions. I have an example of a recent meeting that I listened to, and it is an example of why we need to have these trainings. I also believe that our boards and commissions work very hard for our town. They have the best interest of our town, and this is in no way to criticize any of the boards or commissions, but this recently happened, and I'd like to share this with you. I listened to all of the meetings, and on Thursday, April 1st, I went to our homepage on our website, and on the left side under upcoming meetings and agendas, I clicked on the Conservation Commission meeting on the drop down to meetings information, and it goes directly to the Secretary of State's website. And that's how I reviewed the agenda for the meeting on April 1. As Councilor Marvel mentioned, it's very difficult to navigate that Secretary of State's website to begin with. But for all of our meetings, I usually go to our homepage, I click on the meetings, it drops down to the minutes and agendas or the meeting videos. I clicked on tonight at 6:45, and under April 2021, it lists the planning board meeting for April 7th, and it lists tonight's town council meeting. Nothing on our town's website for the April 1 conservation meeting. There was one because I listened to it, and there was a lot of good information discussed by the reps for the Stone Ridge project, as well as from Debbie and Javi, who are on our Conservation Commission. There wasn't any discussion about the Camoli project that was listed on the Secretary of State's site. Also, there wasn't a quorum, so Javi said there are no votes taken, so this will be a workshop as we have done in the past. Today, I reviewed our website's minutes, agendas, or the meeting videos, and the last minutes available for the Conservation Commission are October 8th, 2020. I suggest that you review the notice of regular meeting or workshops and agendas. Also, if you look at the workshop meetings for Thursday, October 8th, I would ask that you be the judge concerning the agendas and the minutes meetings. In my opinion, both of these documents are almost identical in nature. I also noticed today the Land Trust and the Conservation Commission do not have a video or audio to review, as does the Town Council, Planning Board, and the Zoning Board. Our solicitor tonight explained some of the reasons for that, and I certainly appreciate that. Both the Land Trust and the Conservation Commission receive funding from the town's residents via taxpayers' dollars, as we all know. In my opinion, residents of our town should be able to go on our town's website, not the Secretary of State, on our town's website and review the agendas, minutes of the meetings, videos, audios, for any meeting that they choose to look at. We need to have full disclosure when it comes to this. The last point I want to make, I want to thank our Council President, Steve Moffett, for meeting me this past Saturday at 65 Palmer Circle Solar Array to discuss the issues with security and safety of that array with the continual problem of the gate being unlocked. Again, thanks for your time, and I appreciate what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
One second. Up next. Chip Hale. Chip, can you just state your name for the record, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. Chip Hale, 211 Chase Hill Road. Just for the record, I had my hand raised at the Powder Hill Dam agenda item. I don't necessarily think I'll need a response, but based on what Councillor Hurst said about not responding to public forum, but to agenda items, I just wanted to point that out. I thought it's kind of interesting. The Wood Pawcatuck Wild and Scenic River Stewardship Council has actually been following this Powder Hill Dam situation. And it is worth noting, I actually had a question. I'm wondering, Councillor Hurst said he's disappointed that Hopkinton was not included. But when you read about it, this is something that Westerly is actually partnering with for people for a while. They've actually got some significant funding for on the order of $100,000 to assess the situation. And so, and this isn't something that just happened in the last few months. This was clearly something that they had been working on for a while, understanding the need to address the dam. So my question is, why, and I don't know if anyone can answer this or not, but why wasn't Hopkinton included in this to begin with? I know that a potential reason is that it looks like the mill itself is a Westerly problem. And I wouldn't be surprised if Westerly, was being more proactive to try to remedy this because, they've got this decrepit on their hands. That's their problem now. But as Councillor Hurst pointed out, this decision actually can significantly impact the residents of Hopkinton. And it's actually a pretty tricky situation. The dam's in bad shape, significant rains. What if that fails? Now we've got flooding downstream. Conversely, you remove the dam and now you suddenly change the water level, potentially change the water level upstream, and that affects all the residents who have riverfront property and yada yada. And this is something that the Stewardship Council is actually talking about. Where does the council land on this? Do they think it's better to remove the dam, or is it better to keep the dam or do something? And what they've decided, and this might be of interest to any councilor members that want to listen in, I think they've contacted M. Tariq, who's from NOAA, who is one of the partners working on the project with Westerly. I think he's also been involved in like 50 dam removals throughout the state. And then they're also looking to speak with the engineer. I can't remember the person's name. In particular, we brought up the fact that there was recently the dam removal at in Bradford, and like that one actually seemed to go really well, right? It doesn't appear to have affected the water level upstream of the dam, and now it's also removed a decrepit dam and allowed access, for recreation, access for fish and all that. So one thing that the Stewardship Council is hoping to get from these conversations with the NOAA person and the engineer is why, or can we use the Bradford Dam as an example? Is that something we can do? If so, great. Then is that the answer? And is it all easy? Or if not, which I'm not sure if not, why not? Why is the Bradford Dam removal not a good example? So this is it's a tricky situation where you fall on this. It's not, whatever move they make has potential negative impacts, downstream and upstream. And that's even recently, I've been looking into some of the regulations, the DEM regulations for what's defined as buffers around riverbeds and riverbanks. And there's like, depending on the width of the river, you have either a 100-foot buffer around a river, or if it's greater than 10 feet wide river, it's 200 feet. Well, what happens if you actually remove a dam and you shift that buffer, any distance closer to the river? We increase people's property acreage, increases people's property values. I mean, there's, the point is, it's just not a cut and dry solution. And there's a lot of aspects of this. So I actually really, I was very glad. I unfortunately wasn't able to make the Potter Hill meeting, but I was really glad to hear that Councillor Hurst was there, because I do think it's important for Hopkinton to, even if we're not going to get much of a say, because it sounds like the money's already gone to Westerly. Maybe we can't tell them how to use it, but we should be at that table making sure that any of the impacts or potential impacts to the Hopkinton residents, at least the concerns are voiced, right? And that we provide whatever evidence we need to make a case, one way or the other. Again, I'm not, the Stewardship Council doesn't know where they land. Personally, I'm not even sure what decision we would make on something like that. But I think listening to this NOAA person, Jim Tariq, and the engineer that I think he's involved with this one also, but worked on the Bradford one, I think that's a good start. And so if you guys are interested, you can let me know. And when I find out when those people are actually going to speak to the Stewardship Council, I'm sure they'd welcome the council members and even members of the community to listen in on that, just to get some information before charging headfirst into something like this.
Hey, Councilor Hurst, I just want to point out that a lot of times things go on in town and the council doesn't know. We find out secondhand, and I think that the fish ladder is on the Hopkinton side and the DEM is there. You see them doing things through the years, and certainly there's nothing vague about the fact that that river is partly Hopkinton, partly westerly. And also what people need to remember is that mill property, not the buildings necessarily, but the mill property also is on the Hopkinton side, and they do pay Hopkinton taxes, property taxes. So usually a council doesn't supposed to talk during public forum, but since it was on the agenda earlier, just like the school thing was on the agenda earlier, I'll take the liberty of speaking to it. But I did just disappointed that the town of Hopkinton was not even sent a courtesy letter. A lot of times people get courtesy letters and they don't even directly involved. And this thing with the Potter Hill, the Pawcatuck River, I call it, sometimes I'm guilty of, well, most of the time I call it the Potter Hill River. It's just a thing growing up here, I guess, but it's the Pawcatuck. It's very important that we're kept in the loop, because I think people have to understand that things that happen in a state agency might not necessarily contact us, or things go on and we don't know about it until after it started. Thank you.
Can I
Thank you
just,
for your insight.
can I just add one more? It's kind of a question.
Absolutely, absolutely. Go ahead.
So I was just curious about, with respect to like the town council, not necessarily, being on top of all these things. I can only speak for the Stewardship Council. There's a lot of people on the council, so a lot of information is being passed around, and we tend to, be at the very least aware of some of these things. Is there a preferred way, or is there some way that, as the representative on that council, that, for instance, we submitted an advisory opinion about the Stone Ridge stuff that's going to be heard at the planning board. And, so we're working on things like that, pretty regularly, I would guess. And, is there, like, would you like it, or you want me to CC people on it? I guess I'm curious how you would like for me to operate.
I'll answer that, Councilor Moffett. So Chip, on the town website, there's an email that will send an email to all the council members, and it's just one email. I'm blanking on what it is right this second, but if you do go on the town council website, it will.
Yeah, I think I have, but that's what you would like me to do.
You can do it that way. If you have my email, you can personally send it to me. I'm more than willing to take an email like that. I'm very interested in all that, so that would work for me.
Councilor Hurst, all it is towncouncil@hopkinri.org, and it reaches all of us. Thank you.
Okay. I'll make it an effort to send things when we submit. So just to be clear, these are not, I'm contributing to these letters and things like that, but it's the organization that approves any of these advisories or statements like that. So, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is don't necessarily shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
Don't think what the opinion
Right.
is.
Fair,
But I do think it's
Councilor.
appropriate. I'm bringing it up because I think it's necessary for, I mean, we're theoretically, you know, Elaine and I are representatives of the town. I happen to be on the advisory subcommittee or committee for the Stewardship Council. So I'm involved with, you know, researching some of these topics and coming and contributing to advisories. So, but it is something that committee comes up with an advisory, and then it goes to the full council. If the full council approves, that's when a letter gets sent to whatever town for whatever topic we think is necessary. So I'll do my best to keep you guys in the loop on those things.
Thank you, Chip.
Council-
I'd
Councilor
appreciate that.
Moffett,
Yes, go
Councilor
ahead,
Gary.
sir.
Yeah, I think it's a, I think it's a win-win for us on the council to have Chip kind of overseeing this. You know, Chip's got the, forgive me, Chip, the water background. Most of us don't, but I think it'd be very good to follow his lead on how he wants to reach out to us. And I would like to say thank you for being involved, Chip.
No problem. I'm glad I can help.
Excellent. All right, thank you. All right, up next, Deb, *6 to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you all. I wanted to comment on Bob's proposal. I sent him an email earlier and I told him that I welcome this conversation, making us all put our ducks in a row as we should be. And I'm really sorry that Mr. Moreau had a hard time finding our minutes on the town website. But back about a month ago, I sent Lisa I recopied and sent every single minute that we had for 2/20 plus January and February. So they're all there. And I don't know what Lisa mentioned, something about us having an opening on the IT position. That can be a problem for our little town because we rely so much on that site to give people information. So I hope it can get back up and running. And Lisa, if you need those minutes again, I'll just resend you the email.
I don't. I've sent them on to the IT official, but like you said, there's a vacancy.
Okay. Thank you. And about Potter Hill, I'm glad that Chip called in and talked about that issue. We just have to know what their plans are and what they expect to gain from taking that dam down, other than the obvious. Okay, thank you guys for all your hard work.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay. Joe, did you have something to say? I see your hand up.
Hi, this is Joe. Again, I don't want this to seem like, you know, the comments that I made were directed to anyone in particular or to criticize anyone, because as I said, they are volunteers and they work very hard. I know how much work Debbie puts into it. I know how much work Harvey puts into it and other members of that board, as well as other boards and commissions. But I believe that Deb had submitted those minutes as she just stated. But from a resident standpoint, if I had a neighbor that said, hey, how did that, you hear anything on the Conservation Commission? What's going on there with Stone Ridge? I would refer them to the town's website and look at the agenda and look at the minutes of the meeting and look at, any other information that's there, whether it's documents, and that's how they can learn from it. But as I stated, when you go back to, the October was the first one that I was able to, from a resident standpoint, that was the first one I was able to click on where it actually opened and showed the minutes of the meeting. And that's my main point. Again, I don't want to criticize anyone for what they're doing for the job. That's it.
All right, thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Let me just check, make sure there's no other hands are raised. All right, there's no other hands raised.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn in memory of the late Rosalind Murray Lewis and the late Joseph Bennett Braley, both born in town.
Do I have a second?
Chair, Council Gray, I second.
All in favor?
Hurst, aye.
Marvel, I.
Moffat, aye.
Davis, aye.
Councilor Slaple, what was that? Some green machine, late evening green machine you putting down?
That's my coconut water, Councilman, to stay hydrated.
Excuse me,
All
could
right.
I ask the second names, Counselor Hurst?
Yes, who
Me.
gave the second to adjourn?
I did, Gary.
Davis.
No, the individual he's adjourning in favor, in memory of the second individual's name.
I'm going to put it under your door.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we had a majority vote to adjourn, so I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Everybody have a
you.
good night.
Good night.
Get out and
Good
vote
night.
tomorrow.
Absolutely.